Summer fun, failed home inspection, accepted offer in San Antonio, Texas. My friend Victoria is on Dragon's Den for her tiny home village venture. All this and more on this week's Truth About Real Estate Investing. We are back from the cottage. We rented along with friends and their kids and our friends' kids. It cracks me up how all my friends growing up who had family cottages, they were more like shacks compared to modern day cottages, valued at well over $1 million these days. At least that's the stuff I see. We rented it from a friend for a couple thousand for a week, which is great money to earn as an Airbnb operator, in my opinion. But as a business or Airbnb, again, I think it's wonderful, just not for me personally. As our friends who own this property, they're hands-on owner-operators. The husband is the handyman, including having to, during the winter months, he had to go unplug the septic system of, feminine hygiene napkins in the middle of winter that were accidentally flushed, causing a backup, causing a sewer system backup. And the wife, our friend, is the point of contact for her renters. So she does a lot of customer service. She doesn't clean herself. They have a hired cleaner, but otherwise communications go through her. It's a wonderful business, again, for those who enjoy being in hospitality, just not for Cherry and I, who have very active businesses. I have a young family, and I prefer our investments to be as passive as possible. We're busy enough. Speaking of investments, I accepted an offer in Kansas City, Missouri. The deal has died as the renovation budget came back too high during the conditional period, and that killed my numbers. Hence, we had to kill the deal. My numbers were killed specifically around the capitalization rate, or cap rate by short. For those who don't know, cap rate is the net operating income. So your rent minus expenses divided by the investment value. On to the next property. Totally cool. These things happen, which came while I was at the cottage. Another deal was presented to me, this time an off-market detached 2005 build. So not that old a house, but 20 years old, in San Antonio, Texas. 2,000 square feet, detached, did I mention? 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath for $265,000. The same house, there is a $35,000 renovation expected, including a big, significant roof job, but that's not that big compared to the stuff we have to do back here. I was literally talking to another investor today who's looking to spend $80,000 to $100,000 locally on a basement conversion. All right, back to the Texas property. The rent is $2,300 per month. The cap rate, capitalization rate, is 5.1%, and that's even after Texas property taxes. And in my experience, this beats the pants off of anything I can buy as a retail investor in Canada. And in the context of landlord friendly, Texas is extremely landlord and business friendly. Texas is also extremely historic levels of investment, and also high paying creation of manufacturing jobs. My partner and share has put the deal together for me. They held my hand through creating the legal structure creation. They ordered the home inspection, the property manager inspection, which includes quoting for the renovation and the rent. I just reviewed everything from the comfort of the cottage. I had an internet connection that was strong enough for me to review documents, take a call. We close in a few weeks, and I'll provide more details on a future episode if you, my 17 listeners, are interested. Of course, I like to do research, so happy to share my research into the business case for investing in San Antonio, Texas. Fun useless fact of the day about Texas. If you've removed Texas from the USA, United States of America, it would be the 8th largest economy in the world. That would be bigger than Russia, which is widely known as a world superpower. It would be bigger than Canada, bigger than Australia, Italy, etc. It's a $2 trillion economy, and growing, with a population of 30 million when they were back in 2022. Compare that to Canada, also with a $2 trillion economy, an economy that's stagnating, with a population of 39 million at the time. I have about 100 other more reasons to invest in Texas, from my research, and much of it you can pick up for free at www.truthaboutrealestateinvesting.ca. That's the website for this podcast, where you can pick up show notes. I have free reports and a free newsletter. Just click on the link on the right hand side, type in your name and email, and you're good to go, along with receiving invites to our free and inexpensive educational events. And also, you'll get notification when this podcast is released as well, including all those lovely show notes. Another useless fact of the day: it is public knowledge that the American economy will exponentially increase their lead on Canada's economy from here on forward. Why aren't more Canadian real estate professionals promoting investing in the USA? Well, my team at iWin Real Estate we're still really busy. So we're hooking in helping local investors, but almost all that activity is on the sell side, as in investors are looking to exit their long-term rentals. I make way more money selling real estate in Canada than I do in the US, but I won't shut up about it because I believe it's in everyone's best opinion to invest in the USA. Diversification just makes sense. Again, we're talking about an economy that is creating distance on itself from all the other Western rich countries. Food for thought. And if you agree with my philosophy, please do share this podcast with your friends and family, because they're not likely to hear it from any other real estate professional in Canada. The writing is on the wall, how hard it is to be a long-term residential landlord in Canada. BC just announced it's coming in effect in about 2 weeks, that it is now 4 months notice required to evict a tenant if you're moving in. This will further hurt the resale market of rental properties in BC. The trend is not our friend here in Canada, and there's a multitude of articles on how little control landlords in Ontario have of their tenanted properties. Real estate development for its lack of long-term tenants makes a lot of sense, which is a great segue for this week's guest, Victoria Clooney, who is fresh off recording a show on Dragon's Den to pitch her tiny home community and manufacturing of tiny houses. Victoria is under a hush agreement. I laugh because that term's been thrown around a lot in the media. Anyways, she can't talk about what happens on her episode, but she will share her experience of auditioning and then getting called back to pitch, which was done in front of the real life dragons for the show. Victoria is a returning guest of the show who's on a great journey from being a small landlord of long-term rentals to pivoting to short-term cottage bunkies, to Airbnb'ing a motel more recently and collecting a lot of revenue for doing so. And now she's building a tiny home community, including manufacturing of those tiny homes. And by doing so, she is going to be part of the solution to solving this affordability crisis we have in Canada. In the episode, we'll talk through numbers, and you'll see these are very affordable options for both rental and for ownership. Victoria is also co-hosting the Real Estate Resilience Summit. RealestateResilience.ca is the website. Both Saturday and Sunday, September 28th and 29th. Her co-hosts include Megan Hubner and Elizabeth Kelly. Elizabeth, as you know, is a regular and friend of the show. She's one of the good ones in our industry. So if you're new or old to real estate investing, you know the Real Estate Resilience Summit will have something for everyone. If you'd like to follow Victoria and her journey, you can look her up on Instagram. It's all one word. If you look up Victoria Clooney, Cluney. And also, I have links in the show notes for her Rebuild meetup and also for her tiny home building and community at Tayridge, www.tayridge.ca, TAYRIDGE.ca. Again, it's all in the show notes. It's much easier if you just subscribe to this podcast, and you'll get all these show notes and all these details in the show notes. Please enjoy the show. Hi, Victoria. What's keeping you busy these days?
Everything. Hi, Erwin. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you again. So yeah, it can't be just everything.
It is everything. It's like I run lists in my head, and I keep trying to eliminate projects and tasks and really dive into the ones that I'm currently in, but they just continue to grow. And so, I've got my meetups, which are growing. They happen every single month, and I'm full of ideas, what I want to do. And, there's lots of support for that. So we go in all these different directions. And then we got tiny homes going on, which has just blown up bigger than I could have expected in such a short amount of time. We got the motel is in full swing right now. The summer, it's
Oh
fun.
man, it's gotta be killing.
It
Summer
is
hasn't really started yet.
rolling. We are almost full capacity for the month of June, which is insane, insane. So what else? Yeah, we've got managing a land development project, selling one of our single family homes. So I know you can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think what else. I've got a group coaching program. So we meet once a week for that community. Big fitness accountability in that. We're doing a push-up challenge. So I just finished 75 hard 2 days ago. I just started like a new macro diet type thing. So yeah, I'm busy.
Okay, that was a mouthful.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I made some notes. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much out of paper already.
Yeah.
Let's rehash our last conversation. So last time we spent a lot of time about your journey from when you started as like an almost like a incidental landlord till the motel. And the motel is still very new for you. I don't even think you owned it a year yet. So for the listeners' benefit, I think it's really important for them to hear your journey. Like what didn't you like in your early years of investing? What and how has it evolved?
There was a lot. And because I got into investing, especially as a landlord, so I recognized the value of investing in real estate very young, which is what I got started in pre-construction townhomes. So I did one, I lived in it for a year, and then I did a pre-construction home. So I elevated to the next step, got really involved in that. And then I purchased a bungalow.
All right, just to clarify for the listeners, you were moving on because you were physically having to relocate. This wasn't the strategy.
It was the strategy. So that was what I recognized really early on. So when I purchased the pre-construction, it was for me to live in. And
Mm-hmm.
then I watched the market. I started getting interested
Got it.
in
Got it.
the market, and I saw all the townhomes around me start to increase in
Mm-hmm.
value. And I thought, well, what if I sold this and I just did this again? And that's
Right. Right.
exactly
Right.
what I did. So I started to get that bug. And I was about 19, 20 years old at that time. And I just remember the process of, starting with the townhouse, the developer is saying, okay, you've got 7 things to choose from like countertops. And so it was just selecting colors at that point. But when I moved to the single family home, now I'm actually designing kitchens and I've been giving allowances. And as a 21, 22-year old, that was a big deal for me. And having no network around me and just figuring it out. I moved into the bungalow as there was a breakup in a relationship. I moved into a bungalow and then I got relocated with the military within like 3 months. And at that time, the market was, similar to where we are right now. I wasn't going to be able to sell it for any type of profit. I would have lost quite a bit of money on that, especially breaking the mortgage. I had a 5-year fixed term and
Ooh.
right, like, there's all
Yeah.
these reasons. So that's when I decided to rent it. And I moved to Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. And there was no social media, there was no texting, smartphones, or anything. And I'm a kid with my kid friends, just having them do drive-bys for me. I did the interview virtually, just by phone and communication by email. And so I look back in that time and a ton of resourcefulness was evident in how I approached it, but I didn't love being a landlord. And I hated the thought of my phone ringing and it be the tenants and I would need to fix something or solve something. And I wasn't confident in even owning a house. At that age, I was still so young and I held that property for 10 years. I ended up coming home and not having the heart to ask the tenants to leave because they had had a family. So I bought a condo. So I started to duplicate my portfolio, started to, and then I looked at starting to buy other rental properties only because I felt like I should, but not because I wanted to, not because like inside I loved what I was doing. And I remember having a meeting with my financial advisor, which again, funnily enough, at 20 years old, I decided to get a financial advisor. So I had him for about 8 years. And he said to me, he talked to me about refinancing. And I was so ignorant to all of the strategies that I thought that he was telling me to do something shady. Like I thought refinancing. So he had like a coat of arms in the back of his office, and he kept telling me how like only because I'd been with him for the past decade can I still be with them because they take like much higher clients at this stage. So like I
Right.
could tell like he was really posturing. And I didn't trust him. And so he wrote it down. He wrote down the instructions for me to go to the bank to refinance, and
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
never did it.
Oh,
I sold the property. Instead, by this time I'd met my husband, who I also convinced to rent his condo in BC. He moved to Nova Scotia to be with me. And so we just sold both the properties completely. And when we sat there and we looked at the money physically that we had generated over, the past decade, we were sold. That was it. We were like, okay, it really wasn't that bad to be a landlord. And so we decided to put it right back in,
yeah,
and we started to buy properties and
right,
intentionally. So that was a big shift because I went from avoiding, not liking it, really focusing on all the negatives of real estate investing, to changing my mindset to like, no, I'm going to make this work. It's worth it. And I'm going to be intentional, and I'm going to learn proper strategies and proper ways to manage a portfolio.
right. So you're dating yourself. You mentioned you
No,
started when
I
you're
know.
19 years old.
Yeah.
How long? What year was that?
That was so 2004.
2004. Good time to buy.
It
Shortly
was a good
after,
time to
shortly
buy.
after a recession.
Yep, yep. And my lawyer still to this day said that I was the youngest client that he had ever had.
I'm pretty sure you're grateful to have that property, to have done those deals.
Incredibly, incredibly. Like that's the thing. I mean, I look back and, a part of me thinks that there was luck to just talking to the right people to get into
Mhm,
real estate. But then the other side of me looks back and it's just super proud of that young girl that figured it out and had no network, no community, nobody around me to tell me how to do what I was doing.
mhm,
And I think it's why I put so much emphasis on community today and trying to open doors for people so
mhm,
that people can see, and get inspired by what other people are doing in this space.
mhm. Yeah, just my own observation from having this show for so long is a lot of really successful people are second, third, fourth, eighth generation, right?
Totally.
But it sounds like you're the first generation to do quite well in real estate investing.
Yeah, my parents, kind-hearted people, but were never savvy with
Mhm.
money, never taught me anything about money.
So they don't teach about money, then they typically don't teach about investing.
Exactly. There was nothing about wealth building. I mean, my mom's a chef. I can cook very well. I
Mhm,
learned that. And my dad taught me communication and strength. And he was really the one that got me into the military, which has also given me a ton of skills and ability that I attribute to my success. So,
mhm.
I certainly got success in other areas from them, but from the wealth building side, absolutely not.
Right.
And I can see the difference now with how I talk to my son, who's going to be 12 next month, who understands real estate investing now and interest. And
Mhm.
we talk a lot about entrepreneurship, and we really try to encourage that.
Now you talk about entrepreneurship now, and part of your journey is you've really switched away from long-term rentals,
Yes,
and you're heavily focused on recreational use properties.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can you
anything
explain
that
what the shift was? Like
it was
why, when, why?
really started probably about, I guess, a year and a half, 2 years ago now, when there really started to be that divide between landlords and tenants. And such a negative connotation put on
Hmm.
landlords, and then the changes in policy that was happening with the government. I was feeling this lack of control over my assets that really felt it took the joy out of it completely, and it also put that fear in not knowing the direction that's going to go with these assets. And
Hmm.
so I don't have to invest in real estate to be comfortable. I've got a great salary, I've got a pension, I've got abilities to go and make money in other places. And so I really just came to terms with wanting to focus on feel good investing. I want to do things that I enjoy, and I want to create spaces that people are happy to be at. And so that's where that shift came. I had bought these bunkies on a lake. And so this was a couple years prior, but it really opened my eyes
Right.
to vacation rentals. So
Right.
people coming
Sorry,
because they're
paint the listener a mental picture what a bunkie looks like.
so bunkie is it's wooden, and it has very few amenities. It's small, and we had bought this unique cottage on a lake, and it had three of these, kind of looks like a shed on stilts. And these bunkies had a loft, so it could fit a queen bed plus two doubles at the top. No bathroom inside. Electrical hookup, but that was about it. So I turned it into a glamping retreat. I bought it from three families that own this lot. So they each put a bunkie on it so that they could stay in this bunkie. And then there was like a main clubhouse where everybody would congregate. So we turned that into our family cottage. And then these three bunkies were the glamping retreat. There was a beautiful laneway, and I enjoyed the creativity of dressing it up and marketing it. And it was really my first introduction to social media. So that was it was a huge change for me because, again, as military, we are not drawn to social media, nor are we encouraged to be online. And so it's part of the culture, the identity. You're not really one to put yourself out there. And so that was what I had felt. And with the bunkies, I decided to create its own account. It was going to be a faceless account originally.
Right. What's it called?
Yeah.
Let's promote it.
Bunky. So I've sold it since. I
Oh,
still
okay.
own the Instagram account because I love it. I think it's called Clunico STR. So you can see pictures of it because I was just so in love
Oh,
with
I
this
found
site. Do you
it.
see it?
Lakeside Glamping in Nova
Yeah.
Scotia.
Yep. It was in
Okay.
Nova Scotia, Lunenburg County.
Sorry for the listeners' benefit. Clunico STR. It's all one word.
Yeah.
CLUNEY.
So if anybody is
COSTR.
curious to see how I started on Instagram, how I started to develop building a personal brand, because I started with these pictures and then I started to turn the camera around on myself and talk about how we're getting ready for guests. I think I've got like a blonde bob at the time, so I look quite different. But what happened was all of a sudden I started getting followers. And I think this one was up to like maybe 600, which was huge for me because I was, 150 max, maybe over a 10-year period. But the news contacted me. We started getting a ton of bookings from the Instagram account. We were getting photographers wanting to reach out. And it lit that light bulb inside to say, like, social media is not just about vanity, and it's not just about people wanting to get likes. Yeah, look at that. These are the bunkies. Isn't that cool?
For the listeners' benefit, that if for
I
those
know.
watching on YouTube,
Check it
then you
out.
can see I'm sharing Victoria's STR
Yeah,
Instagram, so you can see what it looks like. Yeah,
it's
it's really
really
like just like
cool.
tiny little cottages.
Tiny little
So cute.
cottages. And we bought this. It was on a whim, and I was scrolling Kijiji one Mother's Day, and it was being sold privately. I went out there that day. It was a snowstorm, and the only reason my husband took me because it was a snowstorm, but it was Mother's Day. So he was like, fine, I'll do this. We went out, and there he is building the barbecue for everybody.
Cheap labor.
There's,
Oh my
yeah,
god, is that you?
that's me. That's where I started to like talk about what I was doing.
And what month did you buy this? Because this is
Uh,
2020.
so it would have been Mother's Day. Like I think we might have closed on it 2 or 3 months later. Like it was immediate.
Right. So you're like in the heart of pandemic.
Part of pandemic, of course. What
Like the
else would
early
you
like the
do?
early fearful part.
Yep. Yeah, best time to just dive right in. And for us, like it was a matter of we knew that we wanted to buy this, even if it was just for ourselves. And then I found the opportunity within. we always wanted a cottage. And so, of course, when I saw it, I was like, this is it. And I had no idea what was going to come from it. And it was really cool and eye-opening. So when I think about owning a property like that and being good at it, being good at the communication, being good at the creativity, and being good at the marketing, it gave me so much joy. So when I compared it to all the negativity that was happening in the long-term space and the lack of control, because again, I could control my rates. And so the value that I was giving was what I would get back in return.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same with the motel, just, supercharged.
Well, your timing was incredible. like the tourist industry just went nuts
It did.
right around the time that you got this.
It did. And like, especially in Nova Scotia, because we were in the bubble, so we were still allowed to travel.
Yeah.
And so, the way that I worked it with the bunkies, if it wasn't outside the pandemic, I probably would have rented them individually. But what I decided to do was rent them to groups, so families, so people that were in the bubble together.
Oh, so they got all three bunkies and the main house?
No, we kept the Bain house because it was about 200 meters down the road. So if you see
Right.
that laneway, the main
Okay.
house, you can't even see it. So there's a big divide between. So we had access to our own cottage
Right.
and then we rented out the other side. And it was
So
like
what they do for kitchen and bathroom?
they didn't. So we like it's a glamping. So they had a fire. There was an outhouse that they had, and then we offered portable barbecues and a barbecue for them.
And they probably paid top dollar for all this. This is Lunenburg too, so it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we ended up selling it when we were posted to Ottawa. And that was a different decision just because, again, it's a really hard one to manage on its own. And I didn't feel comfortable just leaving it up to a property manager. A tree fell down probably like a week before we left, and it was a hairline from our main cottage, and it was a giant tree. So that to us was a sign. We sold it and we ended up putting the money right into our backyard. So we have this
Right.
like beautiful pool and oasis. And to us, it's a little piece of that paradise that we had to leave behind.
I imagine you got a pretty good profit on the sale.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a great profit on the sale and we made profit throughout the time owning it. So for us, this was a great introduction to the world of recreational investing.
Right. Because it didn't stop there. You bought a motel in Lunenburg. How long ago has it been now?
So ended up buying that motel November 2022. And then it took
Oh.
about 7 months to renovate, and we opened our doors the end of May last year. So we've been
Oh, it's
operational
just over a year now. You've
just
been
over a
operating.
year. That's right.
And how's it been going?
Well, we, in the first month of opening this year, we already surpassed what we made all of last year.
Sounds pretty good. Does the motel have its own Instagram?
Yes, the motel has an Instagram, so it's The Breeze Motel. So
I
you can,
follow it already.
yes.
Yeah.
And now the funny thing is, so we have a beautiful Instagram account for the Breeze Motel, and it's great, but where we get a ton of traction is TikTok.
Yeah, I know
Like
your TikTok is blown
I'm
up.
a TikTok, and again, that was by chance. I just turned the camera on myself the day I went to go see the motel, and I talked about it, and it blows up. People love it, like full viral. Like full, it's insane. People love it and so much support and love from the community. And then, we get a ton of bookings from this.
And this is the building here?
This is it. Yep. So we painted it, fully painted. It was a gray color before. We've done
Oh,
like really minimal. We really did try to keep the renovation costs down because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know how nice it would turn out or how popular it would be. And so we have so much room for growth with the motel.
interesting. Like the
Mhm.
interior looks in really good shape already and very rustic, which is, I think, the
Yeah,
experience most people want.
I think so. Like seaside, East Coast hospitality, that's the vibe. We try to keep it very minimalistic,
Which is
community
great.
focused.
Keeps the rental budget down.
Well, that's it. That's it. Because, again, owning a motel for the first time, not sure what to expect fully. Like, how well is this going to be received? I knew it was in an amazing area though. So for us, it was a no-brainer to move
Right.
forward with it. It was just the navigation.
So how many units is it? Is the
9 units.
motel? Sorry?
9. It's
9.
9 units.
There's one says 10, so I'm confused.
Okay. So I know because there's one room is our cleaning closet. So it's
Okay, okay, okay.
an office and it has laundry machines, and all of our linens and everything.
Got it.
And the cool thing about this motel is we fully automated it. So
Hmm.
we purchased it, it was a share sale. So we bought the business and then we transformed it into a fully automated motel. So that cleaning room, if a guest were to message us in I don't know, like close to the nighttime or when we don't have any cleaning staff there, we will actually give them the code and they can go and get their own top up of coffee or whatever it is they need.
And then you just change the code once they're done or the next day or something like that?
Change the code. We've got cameras. We've got everything is decked out
Right.
so we're alerted every time a door is opened.
Right. So this is similar to an Airbnb experience, but
Similar.
have some you use storage that people can get access to.
Exactly, exactly. And it takes some, what's the word? You really have to socialize people to the idea that a motel doesn't have 24/7 somebody on site or
Hmm.
staff. And so we had to really balance that expectation and we're making it work. Like this year, we've been busy every single day. And knock on wood, I don't want to jinx by saying this, but it has been really smooth sailing.
Right. Well, you mentioned you're almost 100% occupied for June, so this is
Yeah,
working.
just about. I saw a snapshot of our bookings the other day, and it's crazy. I was asking what that percentage is because very few vacant rooms all month.
That's nuts.
And like already pre-booked too. So we're mid-month, people will book last minute all the time.
Cool.
It's really cool.
What's the average room rate per night?
We average between 195 for doubles and go up to, I think it's might be 325, and I think we might have just reduced it to 295 during the weekday for our front facing, ocean facing king and double queen suite. So those two are the highest priced. And then we will change up the rates based on weekend and weeknight, but very affordable. Like we're really trying to keep this affordable, but like and luxury enough.
Super cool. Again, that's
Yeah,
the Breeze Motel on Instagram if anyone wants to see it.
yeah. It's
Now, I don't have TikTok, so what's on your TikTok? What is your TikTok?
Victoria Clooney.
Okay.
And it's peppered with the big thing that I have learned over the years is to build my personal brand because I know myself well enough that I go into different businesses and ventures that my personal brand will always stay with me and I can talk about what it is that I'm up to. And so
Hmm.
people will gravitate towards that. So that's why on my TikTok, it's just my name. But I have branding for the motel whenever I talk about the motel. I use the certain color format and I use like this certain type of font. So people start to recognize motel videos. And I found that to be really effective. And yeah, you engage the community. So I'll ask questions about what type of activities people like to do in the valley, in the Annapolis Valley. So I'm selling without selling.
Sorry, there's a picture of you drinking from directly from a champagne bottle.
So
That made me laugh.
blame our marketing team for that one. We actually got flack because that wasn't Nova Scotia wine. I know that's
Wow, that's well done on people to recognize that.
yeah,
Oh, it's
that's what
Moet. Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
it was an impromptu what was in the fridge.
Now, can you share what you purchased the motel for, what the reno was?
Yeah. So we purchased the motel for 835,000. The reno came to about 260, I think, if my
Okay, so
numbers
still
are
pretty
correct.
steep. Okay, for 9 units, that's not
Yeah,
bad
so
actually.
The thing that actually got us that we weren't expecting was after we started to look behind the walls in the bathroom, there was a ton of condensation buildup. And so we actually had to like completely redo the bathrooms, gut them out, retile everything. So that was what the major cost was that we weren't expecting.
Right. And it was a share sale. So you didn't just buy the
Share sale.
building.
Yeah, we bought the business, and I didn't want it to be a share sale at
Yeah.
originally. Like that wasn't how it was presented when it was
Right.
listed. That was during the negotiations. It kind of came up at the last minute. And
Right.
so for me, I was like, well, I'll let my lawyer will deal with it. I'll put a clause in the lawyer. And so yeah, I just took it one step at a time, and it wasn't too challenging. Once you understood the reason for a share sale, once you understand the due diligence that's
Hmm.
required through the
Hmm.
account, as I know you guys, you and Sherry know, with your lawyer due diligence and
Hmm.
the legal side and then the financial side,
Hmm.
then we felt very confident to take
Right.
over
Right.
property. The hardest part was the digital footprint that this motel had because it didn't have
Mm.
a good reputation.
Right.
It was a
Could be
mom and pop
worse.
seller, right? It
It could be
so
much worse with a share sale. Like you could have like bad contracts, for example.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. And we felt confident that that wasn't the case after doing all the due diligence that we
Right.
had done. And so then it was just about turning around the reputation,
Right.
going through Google reviews, making sure the pictures were up to date,
Right. Right.
Facebook, all that stuff, and just really tried, like we started from scratch. We tried to wipe out everything that was done prior and then start from
Hmm.
scratch best we could.
So with the share sale, for the listeners' benefit, a lot of them have never heard share sale or
Yeah.
don't experience one. So in your due diligence, there was no the motel have any employees before?
They
Did it have any other
had
like supplier contracts that you had to inherit like that, or
so
any
they
debts you had to
no,
inherit?
no, it was very, very clean. No
Oh, you're
supply.
lucky.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things our lawyer and our accountant had told us that it
Yeah.
was very clean from a contractual standpoint. Employees were seasonal, so they were let go over the summertime, but they were considered contracts during the year.
Right.
Uh, we brought one on that she was lovely and stayed with us, but yeah, there
Fabulous.
was nothing, again, knock on wood.
Mhm.
Guess we've got maybe one more year left that somebody could come out of the closet.
For the listeners' benefit, employment law is very similar to tenant law.
Yeah,
In my experience, all the laws favor the employee just like they favor the tenant.
yeah, no, it really was bare bones with that type of stuff. And so we felt good. And we were willing to take the risk with this property. It was
Hmm.
so good. It's a
Hmm.
unicorn property.
Yeah. So, have you been looking for more of them? Because I understand you're now focusing a lot of attention on tiny homes.
Yeah, the tiny homes have taken a lot of my time, and I've dabbled in looking at them, and of course people send me opportunities and that I look at, and I have a very clear idea of what I would like next. There is one property that I'm in negotiations with right now,
Oh, similar,
but
like a motel as well.
similar area. So for us, it would be really easy transition, but it's Nova Scotia and very slow going sometimes. So, but when I think about expansion of the motel, if it does happen, it would continue probably in Nova Scotia, keeping the brand and then just being able to plug and play exactly what we have done so that we
Hmm.
don't have to reinvent it all over again.
Hmm.
Just like continue to build on what we've grown.
Right. I'm sure the listener's wondering, how does this compare to running a motel compared to running your long-term rentals?
Oh, it's a lot of work, and we're lucky the way that we have it structured. So I have a boots on the ground partner. Her name is Noelle. She is the one that found the motel. Noelle is a property manager that we had actually hired for our bunkies. That's where I met Noelle. And when she brought that motel to me, I was like, absolutely, let's go. I run the business side of the motel, the growth of the motel, the marketing, the financials, anything to do with that. And then because we're not on the ground, Noelle manages everything on the ground for the motel. So she would manage the staff, the hiring, the day-to-day that would happen. And so for us, it's a great separation of roles and responsibilities that
Right.
allow us to, be hands-on without
Right.
burning out and having this as the sole focus.
Right. And so you're partners in this, so you both have ownership.
Both have ownership. That's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I wouldn't have this motel without Noelle finding it. And because she heard about it as a pocket listing before it came up officially. And we weren't even the ones that were the first pick for offers that came in because we weren't the highest offer. We had a good reputation in Nova Scotia, people get to know each other pretty quickly. So I had developed a reputation as an investor, and I had my glamping retreat, and then Noelle did as well from a short-term rental management. But because I didn't know what to expect on the number side, I went in low. Like I'm pretty conservative when I do my
Right.
negotiating.
Right.
So we weren't the ones selected. They went with the higher one. And I asked them if we could be the backup. And I asked when the condition deadline finished. And they said 3 weeks from the date that the offer went in.
Right.
And I knew right there, because it was a share sale, that there's no way that they'd be able to do everything in 3 weeks.
Yeah. A lot of diligence required. Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
diligence.
This
So I
isn't like
knew
buying a
that
house. You have to
exactly.
find out all the past contracts. You have to
Exactly.
vet the numbers. This is nothing like a piece of real estate.
And this is the time that there was the overzealous investor that was coming in and just throwing offers, overpriced offers, and then planning to like whittle down. And so that's what I suspected with this. So they let me do the backup. I said that my backup offer would expire one day after that 3 weeks. And so it would force the seller to stay with us if he knew that the other person was starting to waver. I called all of my people because, again, had good connections in the area, had the environmentalists ready, I had the inspectors ready, I had the appraiser ready, everybody ready to go the day after the 3 weeks was up. And so we told the seller we're good to go and we're ready if he wants like a serious buyer. And so we ended up getting it for the 835.
And you got a piece of land with it on the ocean front.
A whole acre.
Full acre ocean front.
It was two parcels. So one is vacant and one has the motel on it. So, development opportunities, there's a lot. I mean, it's just so much room for growth.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You're pivoting to tiny homes now. We need to get to that
Tiny
topic.
homes,
Yeah,
that
how
fell
did
in
this all start? There was no mention of tiny homes when we last spoke.
No, it kind of was right at the end there. It was just at the precipice. I had connected with these contractors. We'd hired them for a job. And when you just make a connection with people and they're good people, they're solid,
Mm-hmm.
follow through. That's what these
Mm-hmm.
guys. So Humble Creek Homes did a job for us, really connected. They learned that I was in the real estate space. They were building coach homes. So they asked me to come out and check out one of their coach homes a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started to talk about how cool it would it be to have a tiny home village. And would there be land around our area? We live west end of Ottawa. And then
So
we could,
sorry, you're doing this in Ottawa?
in Ottawa,
Okay.
Ottawa.
Continue, sorry.
So we started just kind of dreaming about that. And then, separate again. And almost a year later goes by and they had built a couple of tiny homes. So then they asked me to come out and check out a tiny home that they'd built. And that's when they told me that they were really expanding. And they asked if I had any interest in joining the journey from the ground up. And so
Is
we
there a
were
website or anything or Instagram or
humblecreek.ca.
Humble Creek?
And there's another one I'll tell you where it's an actual village that we're developing after you look at this one.
Yeah, I'll share my screen and then you tell me where to go because this doesn't look like a tiny home on the homepage.
Oh, okay. Well, so if you go to, let's check, there's tiny homes on wheels. So go to the tiny homes on wheels. And then that's the Noble. And so what I'll do, actually, go to a different website that will show you the full development. It's Tay Ridge. tayridge.ca. So you'll be able to see
Oh,
the development here. So this is in Perth. It's about 45 minutes outside of Ottawa. And it's going to be 120 homes. And so it's a mobile home park. And that's what we're doing is, and it's a similar process with the Breeze Motel, where you take this rundown motel and then you convert it, you transform it into something beautiful, boutique.
mhm.
And so we have a mobile home park that there are 20 lots that are already serviced that are vacant, or if the home, nobody's living in it, it's really run down. So we will remove that and then we can put tiny homes on it.
Oh,
And then
sorry.
there,
This was an existing mobile
yes,
home park? Okay.
yes,
Okay. So
yeah,
that's why some of them are need to be removed.
that's right. Yeah.
Got it.
And so we are blending with current tenants of that mobile home park. And then taking piece of the land that's in the front of it that's undeveloped, and then that will have on another 100 homes will go on that.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Like I don't even know how to explain, the versatility of these homes and how many people they can serve, businesses that they can serve. It's just been phenomenal. And so people are coming out through the woodwork just from talking about it, organic marketing. This is the interior. So this is a walkthrough of what the interior is going to look like. We have a
I
home
swear I've seen this before. I think I've seen
probably
these guys at a
online.
tiny home show.
Might not have been a home show, but like I've posted this for sure. So if you've
Okay.
been seeing any of that, which is good, it means that my marketing is working.
But at 479 square feet, that's decent.
Not so tiny. We're calling it the not so tiny home. And the 479 square feet with that loft at the top.
Yeah.
So it's about, I think, 350 without a living space at the main level. But if you watch this, Erwin, as we go through these doors, we have an addition that people can purchase separately of this geodesic dome, 4 season. So this is built for Canadian winters and it adds an additional 162 square feet. And so, people say you can have a dinner party and live in a tiny home, or, a beautiful living room, place for the kids to play.
I want to see that dome again. That's
Isn't
pretty
it cool?
badass.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. And so like their 4 season panel window panes, it's the homes are built for to last. Like it's spray foam insulation, metal, steel, good quality. And that's the whole point. These aren't shacks in the woods somewhere. People might use them as short term, but we're really developing them as a home. They meet Ontario Building Code. So that's one of the ways that we've been able to be under the coach home bylaw for residential lots. They're CSA approved. We're working with municipalities.
Okay. You mentioned they're mobile homes. Do they
These
have
are,
to be mobile homes?
no, yeah, these aren't mobile homes, but we're transforming the mobile home park. These are tiny homes on
Got it.
wheels.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So yeah,
But
so
the
this is fully compliant with
fully
everything then.
compliant,
So
fully
people can live in
compliant
these year round?
year round.
Oh,
And
okay.
in
So no, this is
Canada,
not sort because it's in the news out this
yeah,
way about some folks trying to do mobile homes, but they're being
yeah.
shut down by the city of Hamilton because again they're trying to use loopholes.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's where we've worked with Ottawa, the municipality. So we fall under the coach home bylaw and we can be as a secondary residence or an ADU on a lot and living full round year round because they're spray foam insulated.
Hmm. Hmm. Very cool.
It
And
is really
you've
cool.
can you talk? What can you share about your
I
Dragon's Den
know.
experience?
Yeah, so Dragon's Den, that was a crazy experience. So what I can share is the journey first. I came across an advert. I think it was an advertisement. It was, I think, on just Instagram, and it just said, investor networking, producers of Dragon's Den, and NACO will be here. And it was like a breakfast. I knew that you could pitch, but it also invited investors to come and connect with other investors and business owners in Ottawa. So I was like, okay, I'll go check that out. I took a day off work and went. And when I went to sign up, they said, "Are you pitching today?" And I said, "No, no, I just learned about this, but when would your next opportunity be? I'd be interested." And they said, "This is it for season 19." They're like, just do it. You know how like they're TV people, right? They're just like, do it. You know, do you have a business? I'm like, yeah, I have a business. And so I did it. I just said, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'll get the experience and I'll come back even better next year. So I have about 5 hours because you're in this room of investors, and all I'm thinking about is how do I develop a pitch? And it has to be within a minute and, trying to convey what you want to convey to producers. It was really cool. There was pitch coaches that was walking around. So I talked to a couple of them. So I thought that was a cool experience to dial it in. And then, yeah, I went in and the producer was there. It was this conference room and I pitched. And like you could tell that she loved it. And you know how sometimes these producers or TV personality, they're always going to like bump you up. They're going to, make you feel amazing so that you give them the best. But I just had this feeling that we were going to get selected. And apparently it was about 1,000 companies, businesses across Canada. And they take, I think it was like 60 to 80 get selected for this show, which is nuts. It's wild to me. And then I get the call 2 weeks later that we got accepted. And then I'm literally pitching on the show about 3 weeks later, less than. It was so fast and furious. Like I didn't even have a chance to realize what I was doing.
Who are the current dragons?
So the current dragons, Brian Scudmore, who is the
Oh,
1-800 got junk guy.
he's an EO guy. That's why we all know him.
Oh, cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. Arlene Dickinson. She's
yeah.
like
Love
the
Arlene.
OG. Love Arlene. Michelle Romano,
Yeah, she's fierce.
fierce.
Dynamo. Yeah,
Manjeet. And
yeah.
then the fifth one is Wes. And I can't remember his last name.
Interesting.
But yeah, so, and it felt, Erwin, like, and I remember this moment vividly because I was just like, when you're maybe a roller coaster, or if you, I don't know, ever experienced cliff jumping, or if you could ever think about what that experience would feel like you walk up and you don't want to jump and you have to just keep going. That's what that was. Waiting around for 4 hours behind the stage and then being there and like going and not knowing how it was going to turn out, not knowing the questions, having all the lights, being a new company too. I mean, it wasn't like I've been doing this business for
Mhm.
years and years. So I had to be as prepared as I possibly could be. And yeah, it was a crazy experience. So I
How long
obviously
is the Dragon's Den pitch? How long do you have?
can go up to an hour. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Because the
condensed
edited version is like
it like eight
minutes,
minutes.
you know what I mean, that we
8 minutes.
see.
Yeah. So you have no idea. I mean, like you're talking for almost an hour, and I lose all
I
track
had
of.
no idea you had that long to pitch because I was
Yeah.
wondering how these people are able to make these decisions on like a few, what do we see on TV? Maybe not
No.
even 30 seconds of the pitch.
Yeah, it's really cool because you're given like 2 minutes max to get your pitch out. So before you even like do pleasantries with anybody, you walk out there, you do your pitch. And then they can go into more casual conversation, asking questions. And then, from that standpoint, they'll condense it to 8 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Am I just ignorant or does everybody know this?
I mean, I didn't, I had no idea. So yeah, it's like, it could be anywhere, 30 minutes to 60. I'm sure it's as long as it needs for them
Yeah,
to make a decision.
right. Fascinating. Because I,
Yeah.
I I know the venture capitalist world is like this. The VC world is like this. It's very
Mhm.
direct, very short. No
Right.
pleasantries. It's just straight to business.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how and then you expand if they ask for more.
Exactly.
I had no idea. Makes sense. Well, it makes sense because like the dragon's time is valuable. Everyone's time is valuable.
Absolutely. And it's, it can be big money that they're dealing with. And
Right.
so, they want to feel comfortable and it's a real scenario. Like they're asking legit questions
Yeah.
to invest in your business.
Right.
It's just powerful.
Interesting. So with your tiny home community, are you looking to expand it? Can you share anything like about the
Yeah.
pitch? Like, can you share your own pitch? Are you looking to bring the model to other cities?
We want to expand across North America. So that's our, the big goals. And the way that we're doing this is through territory sales agreements. So we have licensees set up now in different territories that will be selling the tiny homes. Similar, almost like what you would expect, say, at a car dealership per se.
Mm-hmm.
We will manufacture the tiny homes
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll have salespeople that will do that, but we'll also be doing B2B sales. So we have businesses who want to buy these tiny homes en masse in bulk
Mm-hmm.
orders.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just guessing. Isn't the hard part finding land that's suitable for tiny homes?
There can be challenges with that, but there's also a lot of land that is suitable with tiny homes. So, for example, we're working with a campground right now, which again meets the zoning for tiny homes. And so we have a nice order for that. Now that we can go on residential lots, that opens up that opportunity.
Right.
We have other like commercial properties that can increase their services by having tiny homes on there. Then there's a lot of interest with that.
Fascinating. Oh,
Yeah.
question about your tiny homes. Are you are the owners, do they own anything besides the building? What do they own? Say your customer buy like this Ottawa project. What does
It's a
someone get
lot
when they
of
buy?
different, so it depends with the tiny, and that's where the versatility comes in. So somebody could buy a tiny home for themselves. They could put it on, say, their property if it's like a parent for their aging parents, or if they want it for like maybe their adult children moving
Hmm.
out and they want to
Hmm.
put, or a rental. You could
You hear that,
own.
Ottawa? If you want a family member 45 minutes away from you, Victoria has a home for them.
That's right. That's right. With the ones at the mobile home park in the development, the community, then they would be renting the tiny home, but they could also own that because they're leasing the land. So it's a land lease. If they want
Right.
to place it,
So it's
yeah,
way more affordable.
it's way more affordable. And then they can literally take it with them if they want to
Hmm.
go somewhere else. And so they own the home. We're doing rent to own programs. We have opportunities for investors if they want to purchase the tiny homes and they want to rent it out. Like again, it really can fit whatever the needs are for the individual that's interested.
The land lease, what are the terms on that?
It will all depend. So with the mobile home park, I think the land lease is, I want to say 600. Don't quote me on that
600
one.
years?
$600 a month. So it'd like be a monthly lease that they're going to be owning it. And then for that, landscaping would be taken care of, different things would be, but that's not where we'll put a lot of our interest into on the management of the land. So what we're really trying to do is focus on the actual manufacturing of the tiny homes. And so
Hmm.
that's where outsourcing to a mobile home park owner or to licensees who can sell the homes for us, we can get very specific on the actual building of the business and then the manufacturing.
Hmm. Fascinating. I know, but I think we can find you buyers if people can find the land to put this on.
Well, that's it. Then absolutely. So with this mobile home park, and this will be one of hopefully many that will happen, but yeah, you can own the tiny home and then you don't have to worry about maintaining the land. You would pay the land leasing fees, and if you wanted to rent out that tiny home to a renter, then that would be where your responsibility would lie. But we're also navigating it right now, so that's where I don't have it exactly
Hmm.
drawn out how we're going to do it, but that's kind of the beauty of it, that we
Hmm.
can kind of building the plane as we're flying
Hmm.
to see what works. And we're really wanting to work with the community. We want to there's a feel good aspect to this so that we
Hmm.
can support the attainability of
Hmm.
housing.
It's kind of, you don't want to work with the community because they're so difficult to work with usually. All these
I
NIMBYs.
find, yeah, I think what I found is like when you can include the community, then you catch more flies with honey, right? People just
Yeah.
are more collaborative when you are.
I'll stay silent on that. So, say an investor's interested, what are they getting? They're leasing the land, they're buying the building. Tell me more.
So they'd get to own the home
Hmm.
and then whatever, depending on like what they're renting that home for. So whether they put that home on a residential lot, and it will be dependent on the area. So
Hmm.
rental prices will be based on whatever the market rents would be. And so
Hmm.
the home would cost $200,000 retail.
Hmm.
And then whatever the difference is. So, I mean, yeah, like it's a very low barrier entry
Hmm.
opportunity for investors. The financing side of it, there's two ways that the homes can be financed. One could be just like a vehicle. Those are going to be higher interest rates, and that's all going to be based on credit. So, how well somebody's credit is will be how good the rates are for them. I also have a number of great brokers, mortgage brokers that are working on different programs and plans. That's everything is leaning forward with tiny homes. So even though there might not be a product open right now, it's in that direction that it's
Hmm.
happening. Same with like on a residential lot. So it could be refinanced and mortgaged as on that lot, but it's not for every bank. And
Hmm.
because they're on wheels. And so for a bank, if it's not secured to the
Right.
property, there's a risk to it. And so
Right.
we now have pillars that these homes can go on, so it can get secured to the property. So we're really trying to work with all the organizations and stakeholders
Hmm.
to make sure that conditions are met for these
Right.
homes.
And bring down the cost of financing, and
Well,
then
exactly.
that's a win for
Exactly.
pretty much everyone.
Right, right. And they're all wanting to do this. They all
Hmm.
recognize the benefit and the value of this.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think my car loan's just over 7%. So I'm guessing that's what you're looking at for
Yeah, you
someone with
probably have
decent credit.
exactly, good credit. I've seen it go up to 15% if it's, not as strong credit, but
Yeah.
again, it's $200,000 and you could have an investment property. And then these homes are built to last
Right.
just as long as a normal home. I mean, it would just have the same type of maintenance required.
Right. So if someone's downsizing, then this is a joke. They're selling from Ottawa.
Exactly. And with the extension, if you wanted to do the dome, you have
Which looks awesome.
opportunity. It's really cool, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, how cool would that be? Is that's part of your lifestyle. So it is a lifestyle. It's not going to be for everybody, but I mean, I was at the Rockstar Real Estate Conference that Cherry so kindly invited me to, and they were talking about those statistics that people are looking for smaller
Yeah.
properties and that,
Affordable.
that's right. The
Yeah.
trend is much smaller. And so the size of a condo right now, the average single bedroom, it's almost the same as the tiny homes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a condo in Toronto for that kind of square foot is still close to 600,000.
Right? Exactly. So you could buy three.
Which is just nuts.
Yeah.
And has anyone rented these out yet? Do you know what the long-term rent would be?
Well, right now, what we have, no, we don't because we are going to be manufacturing them. So we're right in the process of actually getting into our manufacturing warehouse where
Hmm.
then we'll be supplying them on bulk. Right now, we have them more on the bespoke side of it. So being
Hmm.
built in a smaller satellite, but we've just focused so much on the sales side. And so now we've got sales over the next couple of years, and we will get into a rotation with the
Hmm.
manufacturing.
And these tiny homes are full service, kitchen,
Full
heat,
service. It's got,
electrical, plumbing.
yep, it has like washer and dryer in there, full kitchen.
Right.
And that's the thing, like they're built just like a home would. And some people will say, okay, well, the square footage cost on a tiny home is greater than, say, an average size home. However, when you think about it, it's like everything, a full-size kitchen is in this tiny home. And so it's really maximized for that square footage.
Wait, what's the average home in Ottawa, and how big is it?
Let's say 700,000.
Yeah, and how big is that house? 1,000 square foot, 1,200 square feet?
Yeah, I would say at least 12.
And that's almost $600 a square foot. Interesting.
Yeah.
No, this sounds exciting. And you cannot share the results from Dragon's Den.
I wish.
But you met Brian though.
I met Brian, yeah, and
Fantastic.
not even
Brian Scudamore. So sorry for listeners' benefit. Brian is very deep in the entrepreneurs organization community. So I saw him speak in Victoria, and he shared a very very confidential presentation in front of all of us. So,
very cool.
So yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and he was like very, and you can kind of tell with the new dragons compared to like the OG dragons, and just the dynamic is really interesting because they're all very different personalities. And so, being up there and talking to each one, you just have to be able to shift focus and know how to respond. And I go back again with like the military training, just staying very calm, and like you're under pressure a lot with the military, and somebody might be asking you very, because they're not there for a tea party. It's not meant to be this easy ride. So yeah, it was really interesting.
Fantastic.
I wish I could tell you. I couldn't even tell Robert Hershevik when I saw him at the multifamily. He asked, like, if I can't tell Robert, then
yeah, Robert, these new dragons are better. They're way richer. No, I'm kidding. Robert's pretty rich.
Yeah. I mean, that would have just been crazy if I would have seen him on the Den and then again at multifamily. I think that would have been pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Where can people find out more information on this tiny home community?
So www.tayridge.ca is the community. And then if you want to talk about anything to do with tiny homes, whether or not you want develop tiny homes, we do a lot of the feasibility work up front for people because it is a process to figure out if you can put tiny homes on your property. And because we have now started to trailblaze working with municipalities, we want to do that growing. We want to go into different municipalities and talk and start to normalize putting tiny homes out there. So humblecreek.ca is going to be the best bet to get a hold of us.
Got it. And folks, I'll have all the URLs in the show notes. Have you looked at the projects going on in Hamilton that are going bankrupt?
I've been called. Okay, so I've been sent. I mean, because anything tiny home, somebody sends me now.
Yeah. So you know the story then. Yeah.
I love that, and I know of one for sure that got fully developed and built, and then had to be taken down.
Yeah, they weren't co-compliant, so that's. I don't know the full story, obviously, but I don't believe they're co-compliant, and also they didn't fit, and they didn't fit zoning. So then, they're trying to use the loopholes to be there. But you may want to look it up, so in case you pick it up for pennies on the dollar.
Actually, do you know, I didn't even think of it that way, but I think that's a really good idea. Because
we'll stop talking about it so no one else gets any ideas.
Well, I got some time, right? When's this airing, right?
Yes, you do. You have a few weeks head start. Victoria, and thank you so much for your time. Any final words you want to share with the listener?
Just that, I know people are going through a really hard time right now with the market. There's lots of uncertainty, lots of ups and downs. And I just think people need to take one step forward at a time, follow what lights you up. Don't follow the herd. If everybody is going in one direction, it doesn't mean you have to. And that has been something that has really led to a lot of the success and the happiness that I have in my life is because I just don't go because everybody else is going in that direction.
Right.
And so I think that's probably the best. And if I may talk about the Real Estate Resilience Summit.
Yes.
Speaking
now I remember that's one of the reasons why I invited you.
Right. I should, yes. I think I would get
Elizabeth won't be happy that we came up this late. Yes. Tell us about the Real Estate Resilience Summit.
if I didn't bring this up, and like speaking of resilience, is that I am partnering up with Elizabeth Kelly and Megan Hubner. And Elizabeth has run this real estate resilience summit. It is a virtual summit. This is going to be her third year. And I'm so honored to have been asked to join the panel and the host. And we have some crazy guest speakers that are coming, yours truly. And we're doing a combination of US and Canada. We've got some big names coming in from the US that are doing big things. And we're also bringing the business aspect of it because cash flow right now is so important. And business, from my experience and many experience, when you can learn how to run your portfolio like a business, but also invest in business ventures and opportunities, that's where you can get some really good, significant growth. And so it's going to be networking with a virtual summit. And that's one of the key factors with this that really separates it from the normal online type webinars and conferences, is that we do this speed networking version. I don't know if you experienced it last year. I think
That
it
was
was
just
the
a speaker
time.
last year. I missed the
Yeah. I
networking.
was a speaker last year. I was in it. I was there for all of
I don't
it.
think I was invited. I was invited back to do for the networking.
Well, it's fantastic. And you actually get to meet people all across Canada and
Super
now the
cool.
US and get this face-to-face time for like 3 minutes. And because that's sometimes the best part of
Right.
these conferences.
We should
So
host it here in my office. Why don't we do the broadcast here?
I know, maybe. Why don't we? We
Yeah, why
talk about
don't
it.
we? All right, I'll talk
I
to
would
Elizabeth about
travel.
it. And myself and Cher are proud sponsors of Real Estate Resilience
Are
Summit.
and
So
so very grateful for the support, and we are here to give people actionable items to take away. So the not only will the speakers be great, but the networking is going to be great, and you can do this all in the comfort of your own home.
and the recordings, you get the recordings.
You get the recordings. We have a VIP offer that is phenomenal. There's actually going to be 3 months of accountability with Elizabeth, Megan, and myself. For anybody who's VIP, there's going to be special VIP networking. You get lifetime access to the recordings. And so the action after a conference is where the magic happens. And so few people
Yeah,
actually follow through.
yeah, the
And
follow
so
through. Yeah,
we
it's all in the
will
follow through.
all of the, what do they say? Fortunes in the follow-up. And so, or you could say follow through, but that 3 months that you get to work with us, then it's going to be the game changer. We'll make sure of it.
Amazing. And where can people find out more information on the Real Estate Resilience Summit?
So we have Instagram, real estate resilience. I think that's our handle. If not, I will make sure that you have it for the show notes. But then also, if you follow any one of us, so Victoria Clooney, Megan Hubner, Elizabeth Kelly, and we are blowing up our online presence talking about this summit. We just launched it yesterday.
Fantastic. And I believe I had to read my speaker agreement and get back to
Yes, we're keeping
Elizabeth
you
about
all
it.
on track. And that's the thing, we're holding the speakers accountable because we want the speakers to come and bring as much value as possible to give to all of our attendees. Speakers are bringing gifts and tips and, booths where people can actually interact. Maybe not Erwin if he checks out, but somebody. But it's pretty cool that you can interact with the speakers where you go to these conferences and, unless you're paying through your nose to get into some like one-on-one room, but yeah, like it's going to be accessible for people.
Yeah, it'll be much cheaper than other events. So looking
It's
forward to this. And again,
incredible. And
we'd be happy. Cherry and I would be happy to host the
I love that.
physical portion here, and maybe we'll have like super expensive VIP tickets for people to come in person.
How cool would that be? And I would definitely make the trip for that because I mean, we have Starlink and I'm out in the middle of nowhere and it's still not 100%. Like if it's a storm weather, then yeah, I'm off. So I know Elizabeth would kill me if I if I didn't make sure my Wi-Fi was 100%.
Amazing. Okay, Victoria, thank you so much for doing this. I know we're out of
Thank you
time.
for inviting me.
Good luck on Dragon's Den. You'll let us know on social media. when you
I
get
will.
picked? When you air?
We're
Actually, you
airing in
can't say anything till you
September.
aired, can you?
So we are allowed to promote it, which is, why I'm allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to say what the results were, but we are encouraged to promote it. We will air in September.
Uh-huh.
Technically, they give you a heads up right before to let you even know that you're airing, because again, there's another short list that happens from the ones that even get to air,
Right,
from
right.
the ones that pitch.
We should host a watch party at my office.
I just like, yeah, but I'm always overly confident, and I have a feeling we'll air.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you again, Victoria, for doing this.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right.
Appreciate it. Anytime.
Thank you for watching. If you want to learn how to invest in real estate from scratch, my team teaches beginners how to use the #1 investment strategy that I personally use in a virtual free training class every month. Go to investortraining.ca/YouTube to register for our next class. The link's also in the description as well. I publish at least 2 to 3 videos a week here, so subscribe if you want to keep learning from seasoned investors like myself and my guests. And if you're just starting out, feel free to ask questions and comment below, and I do the best to answer each of those comments and questions myself. Again, if you're ready to learn the nitty-gritty about real estate investing from a professional investor, register for our next virtual class. That's at investortraining.ca/YouTube. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next video.